Okay, we're going to talk about series. We're going to talk about, as you saw, probably my thumbnail, all of the series that I own and I want to read. And yes, all of those books are unread. We're going to go through it. Essentially what this is a focus on trying to read down my physical TBR. I know that's probably, if you watch as much booktube as I do, that's a phrase you've heard a lot. I want to be more intentional about reading my physical books. I am trying to be more mindful about what I buy and also more mindful about reading what I own. And part of that is going to be sort of this series audit, this intentional, like, this is what I want to focus on reading. If not actually making a TBR, because I can't do fixed TBRs. I'm too much of a mood reader to do that. I want these to be at the forefront of my mind when I'm in the mood for something, to go towards these books first and see if that's what I want to read. So that's where I am with this. In that mind, I'm just going to go through essentially what are like front of the line series that I want to read and get off my TBR, my own TBR. I started buying books again in 2021. So pretty much the age of my books aren't, other than a few favorites that I've been carrying around for a very long time. The age of my books in my library isn't that old. So I've had these books, but like the oldest of these are going to be like 2021. We're just going to go through them and talk about why I want to read them and my hopes for reading them. What we're going to do is we're going to start with complete series that I own. Yes, these are books that I have bought the complete series of without reading. Now, most of the ones that I want to tackle are duologies, not longer series, because I feel like that's so much easier. You know, you got 2 books, you know, get them out of the way, get a full nice story in 2 books, and you're done. The first of those duologies is, I've already forgotten the name of this series, but this is this series by Judy I. The first book of which is A Magic Steeped in Poison. The second is A Venom Dark and Sweet. Cover buys. Cover buys. That's why I have these. Not just cover buys, but book buys. And, you know, I've seen some decent reviews of these. This is YA, historical fantasy kind of romance. I'm gonna make these a priority, I think, because I've had them for quite a while and I am kind of in the mood for something in this vein. So we'll see how quickly I get to these. Next, another YA duology, fantasy duology, Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. So I have Raybearer and I have Redemptor. Now, a fun thing about this is that I've owned Raybearer for quite a while, probably since the paperback came out. And when I started my Instagram, a little while after I had started building up my Instagram, somebody just out of nowhere sent me Redemptor. And it was like a pay it forward to another small Black creator on Instagram, which was incredibly exciting. I still have the little Amazon note on my bookshelf outside, which sits next to Raybearer. And it's just, I think about it every time, and I keep thinking about how somebody did such a kindness, and I did pay it forward, but somebody did such a kindness and thought about me and spent money on me to make my day and to share something that they loved. So I want to finally read these, and I think I'm gonna do that this year. Also, these are beautiful covers. So African fantasy with interesting characters, beautiful covers. So very excited for this duology too. Here I have an adult duology. This is sci-fi, and this is the Teixcalaan duology by Arkady Martine. First book is A Memory Called Empire, and this is A Desolation Called Peace. I'm very glad that when I was buying A Desolation Called Peace, I realized that my copy of A Memory Called Empire is a little different than most paperbacks. So I think this is like the UK paperback. It's a little smaller than normal paperbacks. They're actually numbered as well, 1 and 2. As you can see from my copy of A Memory Called Empire, I did try reading A Memory Called Empire when I first got these books 2 years ago, maybe at this point, and I soft DNF'd at the time because my brain just wasn't gelling with it. And it's very interesting sci-fi, political colonization themes, very high on like diplomacy, mystery. So my brain wasn't really gelling in that mindset at that time. So I was like, okay, I need to put this aside I know this is so highly regarded. I think it won the Hugo. I need to read these, and hopefully if I try them again this year within, you know, a year or two between trying to read A Memory Called Empire, I'm going to be in the mood, because I do have books like that where I soft DNF'd, came back to it a year later, and I loved it. So that is the Teixcalaan duology by Arkady Martine. Next, we have a full trilogy, and this is continuing in a very long series. This is the Tawny Man trilogy, which is the third trilogy in the... I always forget what the whole series is called. It's the Robin Hobb series. I always forget what the whole entire like series is called, but this is Tawny Man. So I have read the first one, which is the Farseer trilogy, which is the first Fitz trilogy. I read the second trilogy, which is the Live Ship Traders. I loved it. So this is next. This is the second Fitz trilogy. And I've heard people talk about this a lot. I've heard people cry about this a lot. And I think I know what the big spoiler for the crying is about, which I'm not looking forward to, but it's Robin Hobb. It's going to be a lot of emotional destruction. I'm used to it. One thing I didn't realize is that I bought the first two books when, what was that website where you could buy UK books and they had free shipping? I don't remember. It's not Blackwell's or like one of the actual shops. It was like a bookshop.org, but you could get UK versions for their actual like cover price, free shipping. I got these two because at the time, only the UK had these versions of the books. So I wanted these versions of the books. For some reason, I never bought the third book. I don't know why. And then I finally, Barnes & Noble America has this version of the series. But guess what? UK books are smaller than US books. I'm very upset about this. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, this is one of those silly things where, like, yeah, it bugs me. It bugs the shit out of me. Also, like, the UK versions have more texture to them. The US ones are very shiny and flat. So, holding the UK versions feels nicer. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read them because I own them, but I'm just gonna have to live with this. And it's bigger than, I have all of the Live Ship Traders in this version, and it's bigger than all the Live Ship Traders. So these all fit nicely. They stand nicely together, look so good. And then I have this. I'm so upset. Anyways, Tawny Man is my goal of the entire, Robin Hobb universe this year. I didn't read any last year, but this is the goal. I don't know if I'll continue after this. I'll have to see how I feel, but definitely I want to read Tawny Man this year. Next trilogy, I also bought from that shop that I can't remember, that doesn't really exist anymore. At least it doesn't have free shipping anymore. This is the... what is this series? The Winnowing Flame series by Jen Williams. I bought these when they were only out in the UK. Bought the whole series in paperback. I've read the first book. This is very interesting, like fantasy, sci-fantasy set in a world where like there are these giant like alien kind of behemoths that are old and salvage, and there's a race of vampire fae, and there is a woman archaeologist who studies the old like alien behemoths, and I think there was a nun, and she wrote a giant bat, and I'm just like, I read this so long ago, I'm trying to remember. I am going to reread the first book and then finish the trilogy, because this is also kind of a very strange but also beloved trilogy. I definitely need to reread The Ninth Reign and then continue on. So there's The Ninth Reign, awesome cover. There is The Bitter Twins, and there is The Poison Song. I know The Ninth Reign, that title actually refers to a weapon, and I believe The Bitter Twins also refers to a set of weapons, so I'm imagining The Poison Song is also a weapon of some sorts. Yeah, and I love the colors all together. Just good set, like a good matching set. So, yeah, Winnowing Flame. Don't know what I'm gonna get to this. This is definitely gonna have to be a am I in the mood to dive into how weird and strange and lovely this world is, but also am I in the mood for it? So we'll see how that goes this year. Okay, and then completely different from what I've talked about so far, we have Japanese translated murder mysteries. This is I think they're just called like The House Murders by Yukito Ayatsuji. I have the first two books that have been translated in this like version of paperbacks. So I have the Decagon House Murders and I have the Mill House Murders. I believe there is a third book in this version, so I'll probably grab it. I think, oh yeah, there's a bookmark in here. I think I started this at some point. I wanted to come back to it when I really wanted like a really good murder mysteries. What I read of this so far, I like it a lot more than the other Japanese murder mystery series that I've tried out. So excited to dig into these. Okay, that's it for the complete series that I own. We are going to move on to books in series that I want to start or check out or something, because I own the book and I never started the series. Okay, so just a general like clump of books that in that category. God, what the fuck is the word for these? These Chinese gay wuxia-ish romances. So the first I have is The Ballad of Sword and Wine by Chang Jinju. Then I have Thousand Autumns by Chan Chu. And then I have Scum Villain Self-Saving System by Moshan Tongshu. So these have all been talked about, very highly regarded, recommended. They're always like popularly laid out at my Barnes & Noble. I started Ballad of Song and Wine. This is very enemies to lovers. Haven't gotten past the enemy stage yet. I do still have a bookmark in here. I just kind of paused one day and never really picked it up again, so I need to get back to this one, and then I'm excited to start the other two at some point. So this is just kind of like general, need to get in on these and see which ones I like enough to continue reading in their series. I'll just get a little bit more of, oh, the ring light. Okay, a little bit more of the covers. This one, Thousand Autumns, was sold to me so hard by a random Barnes & Noble employee when I was looking at it at a table. He was like, do you like slow burn? He's like, it's very slow burn. It's so good. It's very slow burn, but it's really good. And then here is Ballad of Sword and Wine. Yeah, so we'll see where I go with these. Then I have Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I have had this since the paperback of this first book came out. So that's a few years, because this was a whole trilogy and the third book I think came out last year. This is very, I think, Mesoamerica inspired fantasy. That's as much as I know about it. I know it's very highly regarded. I really enjoy Rebecca Roanhorse as a person. I read her novella. I do actually own it, the one about the angels. I liked that. So I'm very interested in checking this out, finally reading it, and if I enjoy it, buying the rest of the series. But yeah, actually very beautiful cover though, other than the step back. Honestly, that's it for series that to start. Like, I do have quite a few like series starter books, but none of them are really pushing at me. None of them, like, I've had them, they're much newer, so not really like feeling a hankering. I'm focusing more on the full series that I own or ones that I want to finish. Last, I have the series books that I have to finish in this series. The first of which is The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. Yes, I know, I have read the first two books of the Broken Earth trilogy and never finished The Stone Sky. Actually, I think I kind of put it down and didn't come back to it, mostly because I just couldn't be in that headspace at the time that I started this. So yeah, excited about finishing this. Obviously, this is a very highly regarded series. I hear both that it lands the ending and that it doesn't, but people like it a lot more than book 2. Excited to finally get to this one. Next, I have what I think at this point is a duology. I haven't really looked up to see if there's going to be more in this series, but this is The Bloodless Princess by Charlotte Bond. The first book of which was The Fireborn Blade. Here she is, Fireborn Blade. So Bloodless Princess is the second novella. It follows our main character from the first novella, and I can't tell you anything about it because telling you anything about the second novella is going to spoil you for the first one. But essentially in the first one, we follow this knight. She is disgraced, and she feels like the only way to bring a good back to her name is to go to this dragon's cave and try to get this sword. And adventures and darkness ensue from there. So these are fantastic, amazing covers. I love this cover. There is a cat on this one. And I just, I don't know why I haven't read this one yet. I think because I really enjoyed the first one so much, and I really want to be in what I feel like is gonna, like, the perfect headspace, although I don't know what that is until I start reading. Honestly, you know, the perils of being a mood reader. So I don't know, but pushing this to the forefront of my mind to pick up when I'm in the mood for something like this. That's the whole point of this video. Next, and this is gonna be blasphemy, but System Collapse by Martha Wells. Yes, I still have not read the latest Murderbot. I bought it as soon as it came out. My husband has read this before I did, because he binged the entire Murderbot right after I think I put him onto it right after System Collapse had come out, and I bought it on audio for him so he could finish the whole series. So my husband has read this before me. So it's Murderbot. Don't know what else to say. There's gonna be a Murderbot TV show coming out so soon. I am so excited. I love Alexander Skarsgård. I know people are a little put off by him being cast as Murderbot, but Alexander Skarsgård is a very good actor. I have loved him since True Blood, since Generation Kill days, and I'm very excited for it. So I want to read this before Murderbot comes out. So this is very high priority for me. Next, I have A Mirror Mended by Alex E. Harrow. This is ending a duology, the first book of which was called, what was it called? The two books together are called Fractured Fables, but the first book, A Spindle Splintered, essentially kind of like a take on a Sleeping Beauty. I think this one is a take on Snow White. Honestly, I don't know what this one's about. I just know it's a take on Snow White and probably similar to Sleeping Beauty. I think it actually has the same character from the first book. So I just want to read this to get this off my TBR because I've had it forever. Pretty much since it came out, I've had it. Next, The Angel of Indian Lake. This is the last book in the Indian Lake trilogy. I read and loved My Heart is a Chainsaw. I read and kind of liked Don't Fear the Reaper. And I think this more leans towards the writing of My Heart is a Chainsaw. So I'm excited to get back to that kind of writing because Don't Fear the Reaper didn't quite work for me because it strayed from what I thought made My Heart is a Chainsaw so fucking strong. So I'm excited to get back to this. I'm excited to get back to Jade and see where the Indian Lake trilogy ends. And this cover, just like the others, just wild, amazing. Angel of Indian Lake. I also have like 3 other Stephen Graham Jones books that I own that I need to read. I have The Only Good Indians. I have I Was a Teenage Slasher, and I just got the Buffalo Hunters. I had to remember which word repeated. The Buffalo Hunters. I just got that in my aardvark box, so I have a lot of Stephen Graham Jones to read, and I'm excited. Last, I do not know if anyone will be surprised, but I think the only thing holding me back has been how brain dead I have been because of work the last few months. And I think now that things are finally calming down and I'm finally starting to feel a bit more normal, less exhausted and mentally exhausted when I come home, I think I could finally dive back into the second back half of the Terra Ignota series by Ada Palmer. These are the last 2 books. This is The Will to Battle and Perhaps the Stars. Perhaps the Stars is absolutely fucking massive. Like, I cannot describe the difference in how, okay, yeah, you can see it. The difference in these 2 books is insane. Like, first of all, the size, like the page size, literally the size of the books, right? Like, literally the size of the books, and it has to be that much thicker. Like, what the fuck? Like, what is this book going to do to me? It's like an Orbit paperback, but like heavy. It's really thick paper. I finally read the first book. What is the first one? It's up here. To Like the Lightning. Last year, I read it on audio after trying multiple times over the years to read it. And audio, it finally clicked for me, and that allowed me to go into the series, the rest of it on paper. And it scratches that itch in my brain. That was the person who loved doing my philosophy undergrad. So I think this is like my 3rd video in a row where I talk about being a philosophy major. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do that. I don't actually talk about it a lot in my real life. It's just come up. But this scratches that itch in my brain so hard, and I am very excited to finally get back to these. I do still have my bookmark in here when I started it, and then work got absolutely batshit insane, and I could not dedicate a proper amount of brain power to these. So I'm excited. These will get read before sometime this year, probably before the half of the year. So yes, I am very excited. This is so huge. Like, what is in this? Angela, what is in this one? Should I be scared? Like, why? But yeah, so I'm very excited. So that's, yeah. My series shame is here. All books I own and haven't read. There's a lot of books I own and haven't read. You don't see them all the time. They're not here. There's a whole bookshelf, not on frame, but I like having books, and I like having options, and I like sitting in front of my bookshelf and spending 5 minutes just scanning all the books and thinking about what I want to read, and like pulling one out and like, do I want to read this? Nah, and I put it back. And I look over here, do I want to read this one? Nah, and I put it back. So I kind of, that's part of the anticipation for me. It's just like scanning everything and looking through everything, and like, it makes me happy. So very excited for these series that I'm, anticipating. Very excited to try to get these read and not feel so like, oh my God, I have so many books that I need to read. I don't know what I'm going to read first. Do you have a suggestion what I should pick up first? Because there's so much good stuff here. I feel like I want to finish, like the ones where I need to finish, I'll probably go for first, just to like be able to say, my spreadsheet, which I will pop up here really quickly, just to be able to mark as completed, mark up the little check boxes, watch the bar graph, like mark it as completed. Like that's very satisfying. And that's part of like half of the reason I have spreadsheets like this, is because sometimes you just like the little hit of dopamine when you get to click a checkbox. Let me know, out of everything that I mentioned, what you think I should read, or what was your favorite out of all of these. 2025 series goals essentially is what these are. Maybe at the end of the year, maybe start of next year, I'm gonna look back on this video, see how I did, maybe do one of those. Fingers crossed that I have read maybe like, I want to have finished the series enders, and I want to have finished the duologies. Those are the big ones. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.